Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to In the Garden with Joyful Living. I am Kimberly Dixon. So I'm going to give it just a few minutes to see if some people will come on because I'm not doing this at my usual time. I'm typically on at 9 a.m. on Saturday mornings, but let me tell you something. It got cold last night. It's been getting cold the last few nights, and in the wintertime, being outside when it's 50 degrees feels okay because you're acclimated to it. But when it's been 80 degrees and 85 degrees, 50-degree weather seems really cold. So I didn't do it this morning because it was so cold. But while we wait for a few people to join, let me show you what's going on with my garden setup this morning. As you can see, all my babies are huddled over into the corner because it's mid-May, but the temperatures have been dropping down into the 40s, and tonight it's going to be even colder. It's going to get in the 30s, and plants, especially tomato plants and other tender plants, they can't survive that kind of cold. So huddling them together, the hedges help protect them, and huddling them together here on the porch. Good morning, Lori. Good morning, Alex. Thank you for sharing, Lori. Please share the video, guys. Huddling them together helps them stay warm. So I'm actually not going to set them back out today. I'm just going to leave them huddled up here. And later this evening, I'm actually going to cover them. But even being huddled together like this, you can still see, good morning, Tamika. You can still see some of the garden stars that I've been posting about this week. That's the blue-eyed African daisies and Vi. That's gonna be that flower's name. Her name is Vibrant, but we're gonna call her Vi. And everything is still doing well, but it's just huddled together. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started because we've got some people watching. So what I'm gonna talk about today is life unexpected. So this week, for those of you who watch me regularly, you know I've set up my whole back patio and it's gorgeous out there. And I couldn't wait to show it to you all. And good morning, Miss Flavor. Brandy, girl, with them names, good morning. So I was going to unveil that this morning. Had my whole topic of what I was going to talk about. And then it got freezing cold. And right now, it's so much stuff out there. It's still covered up. And I couldn't do what I had planned to do. So life happens unexpectedly. When we have things planned, things that we want to do, things that we're going to do, and then something happens that throws that completely off. And we are disappointed. We are discouraged. We feel a range of emotions because something that we were excited about, something we anticipated, isn't going to come to be. Not at this moment. So many of us for 2020, I wish I could tell y'all the 2020 that was in store for me. But overnight, that literally evaporated into nothing. So now, even though the state is starting to slowly open back up to regain the losses that people have felt, not just in my business, but in all types of businesses all over the world. Good morning, Valerie. That's my sister watching. I wanted to talk to you just for a brief moment. This was going to be a short one because I hadn't planned for this. And actually, somebody called me, J. Dwayne Garnett, this morning and said, why haven't you done in the garden yet? I'm like, brother, it's coming. I got some stuff going on. But there's some things that we need to remember when life shows up unexpectedly. Number one is we got to learn how to laugh at ourselves. We got to learn how to laugh at life because laughter is the best medicine. And good morning, Rayshawn, when we take life and everything in it so seriously. And you're like, well, life is serious. It is serious. But when we become so stringent and so rigid about it, it makes it more stressful. So we have to learn how to laugh at when we got something planned. We got it all laid out. But that isn't in God's plan. That isn't in much Mother Nature's plan because, God controls all of nature. And when things don't work out for us, we become discouraged and think God's not in our corner, but that's not true. So first we gotta laugh at some stuff, like, okay, you know what? Let me step back and take my hands off of this and put it in perspective. How serious is it? So me doing the topic that I wanted to do and showing off my patio, although I'm very proud of my plants and I love them. I do love my plants. Y'all know I do. You see how I post them and stuff. That we learn not to take things so seriously and to put it in perspective on the scale of life. The second thing you want to do is give yourself permission to feel what it is that you feel, but then you got to move on. So we can become angry and embittered by the things that are going on, especially in the world right now, where we're still, staying at home. And I don't care if the state do open back up. I know some things have already opened up today. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not congregating with anybody because while case numbers are still rising, and you can see historically, whenever we move too quickly to get things back to normal, good morning, Shar, we end up shooting ourselves in the foot. So I've got a feeling that cases are going to spike again because people are just going to go, woo, we're free, and start running around like ain't nothing been going on. I know we are all pent up and we ready to get out of the house, but if we move too quickly, it can be detrimental to all of us and our health. So, but you want to, when things happen unexpectedly that disappoint you, that hurt your feelings, that make you want to cry, give yourself permission to feel what it is that you feel. Express them, right, Shar? Sit down somewhere. Express those emotions, but then move on for them. Because if we don't move on, if we keep ruminating over the same thing over and over, we become even more angry. And that anger unchecked, that anger unchecked becomes bitterness. And when bitterness attaches itself to you, it will infect every part of your life. So when life shows up unexpectedly, laugh about it, give yourself permission to express how you're feeling, and then move on. Because if we stay connected to that moment in time, to that incident, to that particular situation, we're never able to move forward. So in 2025, people are still going to be talking about what happened to their business in 2020. Well, you can't get forward. I like to give my clients this analogy when they're stuck in the past. Imagine that you're riding down the highway and you're looking out of the front windshield and the side windows, you're keeping everything in check. But you cannot get where you're going on the highway if you're looking in the rearview mirror the entire time. You got to stay focused forward. You check your rearview mirror, make sure everything is where it should be and in perspective. But then you keep looking forward. You keep moving forward. Because if you're focused on what's behind you the entire time, you never reach your point of destination. So we've got to keep our perspective. We've got to keep looking forward. So yes, 2020 is going to have a tremendous impact on all of us. It's going to change the way we live. It's going to change the way we do business. But if in 2025, 2030, what you're still focused on is 2020, your business may never recuperate. You may never start to feel the love and the joy and the happiness that you once were. This has changed us, but don't let it change you who you are at your core. Because I'm going to do a podcast, actually, one of my upcoming episodes is going to be on that very topic, because this has had an impact on everybody. And we have to do what is necessary so that we can still be who God created us to be in the middle of such adversity, something so unexpected. But honestly, this really wasn't that unexpected. Medical professionals and scientists have been telling us for years that we were ripe for a pandemic. And here it is. We were unprepared mentally, economically, and as a society. So, anyway, I got all off topic. Let's move on. So the third tip is we have to let go of our concept of what control is. So I'm going to tell y'all, I'm a control freak. Well, I used to be a control freak. I like to control things. But I realized that having that kind of stringentness about my life was adding more stress to it. So I have had to learn how to be more flexible in my thinking, because as long as I'm trying to control everything when we really have control over nothing, we don't have any control over the weather. Here it is almost the middle of the May, and it's dropping down to the 40s, and tonight it's going to be close to freezing. That's not what May weather. But regardless of what I do or say or think, or how frustrated I am or how angry I am, it's still going to get freezing cold tonight. I don't have any control over that. But the best thing that I can do is stay flexible and do what I need to do to protect my plants. That's what y'all saw earlier. That's why my babies are huddled together here on the front porch. I'm not going to unhuddle them today. That's a lot of work. But when it gets later in the evening, I'm going to cover them up so that they can survive through the night. I'm going to do the same thing for the ones on the back. We have to stay flexible in our thinking and in our mindset so that when life shows up unexpectedly, we can pivot and go in a different direction. But if we're so stuck and so stringent, we can't pivot. We are stuck in the same spot like glue. And 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now, we are still complaining about that very incident that showed up unexpectedly. God, life is tragic. I don't care who we are or how long we live. We are going to experience some things that are going to knock the air out of you. And they can suck the life out of you if you allow it. But we have to take everything that we have. We have to pivot and do what we can do in the situation so that we aren't stuck there for the rest of our lives. But the most important tip is we got to remember that God is in control of everything. There is not anything that is happening in this society, in this world, that he is not aware of. He may not have caused it, but he will allow some things so that we will continue to lean and depend on him, because otherwise we get so independent and so boastful, for lack of a better word, that we forget that he is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. He is our strong tower, our resting place, our comfort. He is our peace, our joy. All of those things, they come from God. But when we think we're controlling them, we'll start to think, I got this, I'm boastful, and we will stop going to him for the things that we used to depend on him for. So this was an impromptu in the Garden with Joyful Living, because life showed up unexpectedly. I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do with my back patio, but all that means to me is that it wasn't time for me to unveil it. Good morning, Ed. I hope you're doing well. It wasn't time for me to unveil it yet. So I have to let go of what I think I should do in this time and do what the season requires that I do, so that I can continue to thrive and move forward. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this segment of In the Garden with Joyful Living. Please share the video. Again, just to give you another little look at my babies. This is my setup. I'm trying to protect them as best as I can. And as it gets cooler this evening, I will be covering them up, because, you know, those blooms, they can't survive really cold, frigid, cold weather. And I want to protect my babies. These my babies. We talk every day, y'all. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching In the Garden with Joyful Living. I love you. Bye-bye.